I'm Ross, a curious parent.
And I'm John, an education expert.
This is From the Sidelines.
Bite-sized study tips to help you help them through.
Hello, John. How are you doing?
Very good, Ross. Good to be back and good to be chatting again about helping parents, really.
Yeah, we've had some good conversations so far, I think, haven't we? You know, nuggets of advice, tips that feel like they will be really helpful, hopefully, for people listening and watching.
Yeah, I hope so, and that's what it's all about. It's trying to take some of that, what can be sometimes complex information that's kind of can be written in or in lots of different mediums that can be quite lengthy or complicated or feel very difficult for people. Actually, let's make it really simple for people. Let's put it in practical terms and let's talk about it, what it's like in our lives as parents as well. And hopefully that can help people make some small but significant changes in their own homes, which will lead to improved performance and learning for their children.
And I think the other part of this as well is that, every school in the country has specific curriculum they may teach. They have particular subjects that they may teach in particular ways. They may have particular timetables of kind of when pupils need to attend. But the one thing that we're trying to do here is just actually apply what every single parent, carer, champion young people can implement to help that young person. And that's the kind of critical thing, isn't it? It cuts through all of that noise, cuts through all of those differences, and it actually gives every single adult there the tools to help the young person to succeed, help them through, if you like.
Definitely. And irrespective of the age or stage of your child, hopefully these strategies can be implemented in maybe a graduated process or in different ways, whether they are 3, 4, 5, in terms of that end of the scale, whether they're into kind of end of primary school, whether they're doing GCSEs, whether they're doing A-levels, whether they're off to university. All of these things are about how human beings are productive, how we learn, how we thrive. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter how old they are. You just need to slightly tweak them maybe to make it right for your context.
And it is true, you're providing some really good tips. And this title of today's episode has been a particular puzzler, if you like, because it's not something I'd expect us to cover in terms of stress can be good. Okay, so you tell me what gets you stressed first of all, John. What is it?
Linking back to something we've talked about previously, whenever I feel like I'm not organised or I'm not in control of what's happening across the week or the month and things creep up on me, that's when I feel stressed because I don't feel like I'm in control, I suppose. So the reason I said linking back to a previous episode is that I like to feel as organised as possible and potentially plan things out I haven't got a study planner, but my diary, and plan things out knowing what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and not just work, but with my family as well. So I know that I'm not going to miss something, or I've got a meeting one night, or a parents' evening that suddenly we're supposed to be going out. I know what I'm doing, so I feel in control. Therefore, I feel less stressed and anxious about things.
And that's got to be the same for the majority of people, hasn't it? That control element, no matter what it may be, whether it's money management, anything, it's about that creates elements of stress. What we're talking about there, though, is negative stress as such, or stress being negative. And judging by the title of this episode, that's not always the case. And stress can be positive. Am I right in saying that?
You're absolutely right. And I think it's our perception of stress, which I'm sure we'll talk about over the next few minutes. Ultimately, when people talk about stress, if I ask everyone watching or listening out to think about what that feels or looks like, generally, or if I ask you, Ross, when you feel stressful, what type of things do you kind of associate with that?
You're not meant to be the one asking me questions. Nervous, a bit sweaty maybe. Yeah, hot kind of heartbeat going, those sort of things.
So what that is, that's your body's natural reaction to the challenge that's facing you.
Okay.
Now, whether that's an exam, whether that's an interview, whether that's a piece of work you're doing, or whether you're going to be speaking to somebody or you're nervous, it's your body getting ready to face that challenge. So what's happening there is you're readying yourself for that challenge. And if that's harnessed in the right way, psychologically as well, then that's a great thing because you know that your body is getting ready for that. And that's really important because if we think about it in the right way, then we think, okay, this can be good. That's why the title of this stress can be good. The signs of this are good because it's our body's way of saying, okay, we're ready for the challenge, the fight, whatever it is ahead of us.
So what do you mean these signals then? These signals can be positive for children. what do you mean by that? Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, so I'll go through the ones that you mentioned. Actually,
Okay.
let's talk about the ones that you talked about in your own kind of feeling or your own perception of what that would feel like. So one of the first things is an increased heart rate. I think you talked about that, kind of your heartbeat. So what that is doing, it's increasing the blood flow around your body, which is sending more blood around your body, which is helping you with all those cognitive demands and concentration and focus, all that type of stuff, because you're firing more blood around your body at the time. So that's your body actually increasing your heartbeat so that you can do what you need to do. It's a great way of doing that. Secondly, then, blood carries oxygen. So because there's more blood flow around your body, you're getting more oxygen to your brain, to your muscles, so that you can perform at your best, and that you can concentrate, you can focus, you can run, jump, swim, whatever you're doing at that point. Your body has got more of those, more supply to do what it wants to do. Again, that has to be a good thing. Okay, we then start to we then might start to be sweating. I think you mentioned about sweating as well. So sweating is our body's natural temperature regulation, right? So we're cooling ourselves down, allowing us to be at peak kind of internal temperature by getting rid of that heat. So although it might sound like, hang on, my heart's pumping, I'm breathing really fast, and I'm sweating. I don't like this.
Doesn't sound the healthiest.
It doesn't. But if you switch that around in your mind and think, well, my heart is now pumping more blood around my body, so I can do what I need to do. I'm getting more oxygen around my body because I'm breathing, and I'm actually regulating my own temperature, and I'm cooling myself down internally. Yep. Wow, that's really clever. Yep. That's exactly what we want. So if we start to think about these things in a different way, then then we can kind of see that as a positive. And finally, as well, if our body is releasing things like adrenaline at that time, really kind of firing ourselves up, ready for the challenge ahead, then that's surely what we want to be going into that hard challenge, whether it is an exam, whether it's a football match, whether it's an interview, whatever it may be. Our body is just saying, don't worry, Ross, I've got you. I'm going to get you ready, and we're ready to go here.
So without those signals, those signs, are you saying that technically then the body isn't ready for performance, isn't ready for that challenge?
Correct. If the challenge is hard, very, very hard and very difficult, and your body isn't, increasing the blood flow, and you are not increasing the oxygen to your areas that you need, then it's not going to be as ready. So it's us seeing it as actually I'm now ready. And I think that when I got my head around this a few years ago, I then started to almost talk to myself, or when I'm in those situations where I'm thinking, oh, I'm stressed, I'm sweating, and I then start to now say to myself, no, this is good. This means we're ready. And immediately just saying, no, we're ready. It just puts a whole spin on actually, because we only think that sweating and increased heart rate and increased, increased breathing is negative because we've been telling ourselves that it's negative. Yeah. Just switch around in your head. This is good. It means I'm ready. And we want our children to feel a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, because actually that means it means something to them because it's important. So we want their body to be ready for that. Otherwise, if it was something really, really hard and they weren't bothered, then they're going to struggle because their body isn't going to be ready to actually compete in that kind of arena. Again, whether that's an exam hall, whether that's an athletics track, whether it's a swimming pool, it's the same idea.
Because it is true what you say there, isn't it, about the concept of people saying, I'm stressed, I'm feeling a bit stressed. It's taken as a negative. And actually what we're trying to do here is look at it from that positive angle and how that can both be seen as positive and used as positive. So for parents and carers and champions of young people, as we always say, who are hearing that with their child, hearing that kind of I'm stressed, how do they help them to understand that it can be a positive?
It's very difficult because unfortunately, the world over, we use that word stress as a negative, as you mentioned there. So it's very, very difficult for you in the next 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months to debunk that idea immediately and say, oh, no, stress is a really, really positive word, because some of those words that we have in our heads from really, really kind of childhood ages will stay with us as always negative words, and sometimes they come in the form of, exam, test, those type of, they give people shivers as soon as you hear them, So actually the word stress is associated. So the more you can do to whenever you hear your child talking about I'm stressed, actually pick that apart a little bit, and talk about, well, what is it, and how can we kind of get around this? And if it's an organizational thing, well, let's just resolve the organization. It's not that they're stressed; it's that they're unorganized.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just move that word stress out of it. No, you're just unorganized. Okay. And then if they then talk about, but I'm stressed because I'm obviously sweating. No, you're just readying yourself. You're just ready. And if we start to use more positive words instead of what we perceive to be a negative word, then we can start to make a difference. So it's almost just reframing that language. But I know it's really difficult because it rolls off the tongue too easy. So we've got to be consciously thinking about, especially at this time of year, when we know if your child is going through or about to go through exams, that word will probably be used almost more than any other word in the house. It's about how we then constantly check that and kind of counterbalance it with, no, it's just organization, or it's just you readying yourself. And again, let them into the secrets of your body doing these things is great.
Yeah.
And this is why. And then they go, oh, okay, great. Because they need to understand it, not just you. There's no point you going, oh, but them being sweating right now, they need to know it. We all need to know that increased heart rate, increased breathing, and increased sweating at that moment in time is good. So we can fight that urge in our head to say, I'm worried because I'm stressed. No, I'm readied. Yeah. I'm ready to go. And if you frame that, then it's great.
Feeling a bit hot under the collar and got a bit of a heartbeat going now.
Actually. Are you feeling ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm absolutely, positively stressed, in fact. But it can apply to adults, can it? We can apply this to adult life as well.
Absolutely. Like we always say, this is about how humans work. And this isn't about how your child's body works. It's about how humans work.
Absolutely.
Think about it yourself. If it's an interview and you're sat there or you're in the waiting room, the dentist, whatever it is, actually, it's those things that I'm worried. No, it's my body just getting ready for me to cope with the demands that are in front of me. And the challenge. So don't see it as a negative, see it as a positive. It's exactly the same for us all. We're all built the same way.
So there we have it. Stress can be positive. We hit the title on the head, I think, with the explanation of that. And it's often how we have those conversations that actually can turn it around to the young person understanding the benefit of being stressed and actually what that means for them in terms of readiness, in terms of preparation. Thanks, John. As always, great advice. Things that we will absolutely be hearing in households right now, up and down the country as we're approaching exam time as well. But also something I think is really important to kind of debunk that myth around it. So thanks very much. Look forward to obviously seeing you again soon, as always. And to yourselves as well. We look forward to catching up again very, very soon. Thank you.